Hello everybody and welcome. One of the questions I get asked often is the configuration of my home setup. So here's just a short video to show you how it's all put together. Like most of you, I've got access to the internet, a router that's provided to me by ISP, but I do have a proper Cisco enterprise grade 8-port PoE switch, which is very handy, especially when I do the wireless labs. And then that's connected to my computer and a few other auxiliary devices. But I guess the real power of what I can do is through virtualization. So I run VMware Workstation 16 Pro, and I've set up a little Cisco 1000V virtual router inside VMware Workstation. An excellent little device because it is a full-blown Cisco router. Every command you ever need to know for Cisco LAN will work on this router, and I have that set up routing some internal networks. I use VMware Workstation to bridge the real operating system network to that virtual network connected to the outside of that Cisco 1000V, and I got a handful of networks that I consider to be behind it or on the inside of that network, and they're address translated through so that devices can get access to the public internet. If I need to test operating systems, I can just plug them straight in to the same network, and that's bridged straight through so they can just talk to the internet however they like. However, sometimes I like to keep things isolated for specific testing. So when I plug a system behind the network address translation engine, then I've got full control over what it can see, and I can also get a full list of what it's trying to do, as I can see the address translations happen in real time. Sometimes I like to test more specific setup with appliances. So I've created a whole bunch of sub-interfaces on the outside of the 1000V virtual router. VLANs 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. And these are all tagged with 802.1q tagging. I've set up a trunk so that the link from the switch to my PC is an 802.1q trunk as well. So if I'm setting up a virtual wireless LAN controller or other sort of multi-interface appliance that understands 802.1q trunking, then that's going to trunk onto my inside virtual network. I've also set up a Windows 2016 server running Active Directory and other sorts of software for doing lots of testing. So when I plug in, say, a Cisco access point or some other sort of device that needs to be on a static VLAN, then that'll go in and it'll be trunked. The 802.1q tag will be added as that's sent from the switch to my PC. But there's a problem. And I troubleshooted this for quite some time on the VMware Workstation forums until eventually they pointed me to the Windows forums, because there's actually a setting on your Windows 10 that will automatically discard all tagged traffic. So I just figured out what their registry key was and added it to my Windows 10 interface, and now 802.1q traffic is perfectly allowed through, and those tags are maintained and they make it through the appliances. I've shown it there on the screen. I'll also put it in the description. However, where I have an X, that means a number, because you'll have multiple virtual interfaces inside your operating system. You just need to find the correct interface and allow tagged frames just for that one interface. Other times, when I want to plug in maybe an Aruba or a Meraki access point, these are autonomous or cloud controlled. So they also have their own tagging. So they want to be plugged in as a trunk. So now when their data is tagged into the switch, across through to my PC, into my virtual Cisco 1000V router, and then that router will accept that tag on subinterface 40, route it to where it ever needs to go, so now it can get onto the internet or any other subinterface or even onto that Windows 2000 server. So this is my setup. I've got a switch, I've got a couple of ports are set to static VLANs, a couple of ports are set to trunk, and I just plug in whatever device in the real world onto those devices. And then in the virtualization inside VMware Workstation, I can set up devices on a static VLAN, I can set them up with a trunk, I can set them up whatever they need to be routed internally out onto the internet, or just routed internally so they can only talk to each other. That was my home setup. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But you notice a lot of the demonstrations I use a lot more complicated than what I've just shown you. And that is because I am highly privileged to have access to my work setup. So NetLab, produced by a company called NDG, is a fantastic piece of software suite because it's a remote control software. So in this photo you see there are 9 racks. 6 of those racks are floor to ceiling full of Cisco switches, routers and firewalls. So when I'm remote controlling this instance, it's not virtual. There are physical real switches, physical real routers, physical real firewalls. I'm just remote controlling them because the NDG software punches out through the server, through the serial port of another router into the console port of these devices. So it's not virtual at all. It's actually just remote controlling physical equipment. However, NDG also support a lot of virtualization tools. So I can do a lot of virtual tools with Kali and Windows and multiple operating systems. When I'm doing Palo Alto firewalls demonstrations, they're using virtual Palo Alto firewalls with virtual operating systems on the inside, the outside, internet access and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, this whole COVID lockdown, our NDG NetLab has been absolutely critical to remote teaching, and it's awesome for me because I can do pretty much any lab or any talk or design I need to do, all done virtually within this huge NetLab environment. Just remember, my daughter's also helping me out by selling some awesome merchandise, link in the description below. If you like this video, please remember to click the subscribe button, tick the notification bell for notifications of new videos. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment with what you'd like me to make for my next video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.